Hi there! Today we're going to talk about some novella recommendations that are spooky and weird. So let's get to it. The first one is Moonfellows by Danger Slater. Oh man, this is like if Monty Python went to the moon, and that makes me sound old because I don't know if people still know who Monty Python is. They were a comedy troupe from back in the day, and they were pretty darn funny, and that's what this humor in this really made me think of. The story was wacky and weird and wild. It was right up my alley. Like, I love stuff like this. It follows the story of this gravedigger, and in 1906 there's this program that the US has, and it's kept like deep under wraps. It's called Moonfellows, and they send all these people to the moon, but they get left behind on the moon, and it's what happens after they go to the moon and get stuck on the moon, and what is that thing on the dark side of the moon, and what is the moon flu? What does it do to you? I don't think you want to know, or maybe you do. You can find it all out here. The very true-ish story of what actually happened on the moon in 1906. It's a fun read, short and sweet. These are Sin's short and sweets. Tell your friends, tell the fellas. I was trying to rhyme, that sounds stupid. So next up, we have the Splasher Lure. That's right, Splasher. This book is about a mermaid or a lure maid, and it's basically this fishing village and what happens when this new god floats into their bay. All the men are like, let's go kill it. And the women are enchanted and enthralled, and they're like, what is this amazing creature? And they go down towards the bay to watch the mermaid swim around, and well, the men all go after it, and as you can imagine, things don't go so well, and the splasher begins. This was super fun, little horror novella by Tim McGregor, and I freaking loved it. I love underwater themed stories. I have a thing for just water, even though I'm a fire sign, but I love the water. No, this doesn't freak me out about going in the water. Well, maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't be trying to kill the mermaid and, bring the wrath of her down on my head. I can't say too much. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but this is awesome. This would be a great summer read. This would be a great anytime read if you just want a really good slasher style book. I feel weird calling it a slasher because it's a splasher. The next one is another awesome novella I read, and it's Below by Laurel Hightower. That's Mothman. If you have been following me for any amount of time on here, you may know that my favorite cryptid is Mothman. I mention it from time to time, not a whole bunch, but Mothman is my absolute favorite cryptid, and Mothman is in this story. And it's so weird. It was scary, but it was so out there, insane little novella, and it like truly packed a punch. There was so much in this teeny tiny little book, and it was fantastic. And Laurel Hightower, awesome. I need to read more books by her. It follows the story of this lady, and she is going to meet up with her friends to go to a horror convention. She stops at a diner on the way, and she runs into this trucker, and she talks to him for a hot minute. There was some weird electrical interference stuff going on with her car, and made a weird noise before she got in it, and she gets on the road, and this crazy snowstorm hits, and she's following behind this trucker. And they're driving, and she looks up, and all of a sudden she doesn't see the semi-truck anymore. Like, what? And then all of a sudden she sees it, and it's like jackknifing across the highway, and then it goes over a bridge. And right before all this happened, some weird creature with leathery wings and red eyes appeared up on the bridge. And so then all of a sudden her car, it cuts out, the electrical stops working, and she's like, what the F is happening? And so then she's got to decide, is she going to try to get out of there, or is she going to go try and help this trucker that went over the edge? I don't know. You'll have to read the story and find out. The next one I read is because I wanted to get some Halloween, autumn vibes going on. We've had such a hot summer, and thinking about fall and pumpkin spice everything and cider and spooky stuff. And also, this is gonna be a movie. It comes out September 9th. Dark Harvest by Norman Partridge. It's about this town, and this town has this dark, weird secret where every Halloween, this entity with a pumpkin head, Sawtooth Jack, comes to life. There's some weird stuff going on where the townsfolk, like some of them know what's happening, and they go and they stuff the entity full of candy, and they have this thing called the Run, where these teenage boys, they basically like lock them in their rooms for 5 days and don't feed them, and then they send them out to go kill this creature. Because if they don't, something happens to the town. It'd be bad news. But they don't tell these boys what's going on, and all they tell them is that the winner gets to leave town and they get all this money, and it's all really shady, weird business. And it's effed up, but this was a fun, spooky read. It's one of those ones that you're kind of rooting for Sawtooth Jack. You know, you're like, it's kind of like that whole, you know, you feel bad for the monster. It's like Frankenstein or Godzilla. Maybe Godzilla was just, you know, a little bit misunderstood, just like Sawtooth Jack. And the next one, that is Lake of the Dead by Andrei Bierka. This was written in 1942 and was only released this year in the US, recently translated into English. And this was Norway's best ever crime novel. It's more than just crime. It's got paranormal and occult and horror vibes and all this stuff. And the whole story is there's this haunted cabin called Dead Man's Cabin, where it's said that the ghost of this lunatic who kind of went crazy and murdered his sister and her lover and threw their decapitated bodies in the lake right by the cabin. And it said anyone who goes and stays there gets possessed by this psycho spirit, and bad things happen. And it was really good. There are some trigger warnings in it because there's a bit, like, this was written in 1942, so there's misogynistic tendencies of some of the men in this, but it's really very light and almost humorous the way it's in there, and I don't think it really detracted from or offended me very greatly. I probably just read it and was like, yeah, men can be idiots. Anywho, overall, I love this book. I thought this was really great. The cover art is freaking beautiful. It's doing weird stuff with the green screen right now. I know that, yeah, not everyone has the time to read a really long book, so I wanted to suggest some of my favorite novellas that I've read recently. You know, it only takes a couple hours to read them. You could take it on a vacation, you could go to the beach, you could just sit outside and enjoy the sunshine and read a good book. If you are interested in any of these books that I mentioned today, I will have links down below. They are affiliate links, so a little bit goes to the channel, and then it also goes to indie bookstores, and you can choose which indie bookstore you would like it to go to. If you like spooky and weird books, the next video coming up will be about a spooky and weird book. If you had fun hanging out today, boop that like button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.